the training. Or maybe Alma, I will send it to you and then you can download it to somewhere where people can access. If you have a library of recordings or videos, you can do that with this recording. So the recording has now begun. I do need to let you know that. So when we work with global trade, we work with, we mention 2 different entities. We have reporter and we have trade partner. The reporter is the entity which has reported official trade statistics that we, IHS Markit, then publish. And we have 102 unique reporters. So we do not have official statistics from every country around the globe. Within your subscription, I believe you have just 2 reporters, Mexico and China. We then have trade partners. These are entities with which the reporter has traded. So you can see in the diagram, we have Austria in red as a reporter, and then the other countries around the diagram are the countries with which Austria has traded. So reporter and trade partner. Something else to mention with the GTA, there are 2 types of data that you can pull. You can have a standard report, which looks as in the picture on the top left. This is an online design. You can set your filters, run your report, and then format and rank when it comes out in Excel. So it's online, it's formatted, and it's ranked. The data extract is slightly different. The data extract will have, it is downloadable only. There is no online view. It comes out unformatted. So you're pulling raw data, you're pulling the base data from the system. You can also schedule these extracts for an immediate download as well. Okay, so guys, I am now going to go on to the tool itself, and Alma, I'm going to use your account, your login details, so that everything that people see is what they will see when they use the tool. Are you okay for me to do that? Xavier, could you translate that for me to Alma, please?
Can you repeat the last part? If you're okay with, if she's okay with
me using her account on Global Trade.
Okay. Alma, Beth quiere saber si está bien si ella usa su cuenta en el Global Trade para usarla como ejemplo.
Bueno, sí, ¿me escuchan?
Sí.
Sí, si quieres usar tu cuenta, Beth, para hacer la demostración no hay problema.
Ok, está bien si ella usa la cuenta.
Sí,
yeah, she's saying it's fine.
Perfect.
Just to do the demo. Yes.
Great. Thank you, Alma. Or should I say the one other word I know in Spanish? Gracias, Alma. There we go. Okay. So I am now going to turn my webcam off, and I will come back on the webcam later in the session. So We are going to start with the overview. So when you log into Global Trade, you will come to this page, and to access the GTA, you need Trade Products and then Global Trade Atlas. You will come to a home page, and we have a navigation bar on the left, and we have different panels with information available for you. And here in the methodology and glossary, you have access to a Global Trade Atlas user guide. The data on the Trade Atlas is updated daily, and you can see the data availability for your reporters by using this link. So you can see here for Mexico, we have data up to December 2020, but for China, we have data up to March 21. At this point, we're going to start to talk about setting preferences and then looking at running reports. This is a good time for me to remind you, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them into the chat function, and Xavier will then be able to ask me those questions as we run through the session.
Let me read that, Beth, in Spanish. Si tienen alguna pregunta, pueden escribirla en el chat en español y yo con mucho gusto se lo puedo traducir a Beth en inglés.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Okay, so now we will look at the settings. So we can set how we want to run our reports. We can set the type of report. So if you would like to look at value, or if you would like to look at quantity, you can use these as a default setting. You can also use your report type, and to know what these report types are, hover over I, and it will give you a description of the different report types available. And we have the frequency here. So if you would like to look at a series report type, on a monthly, we can use our drop downs. These are defaults, so they will remain the same until you change them when you are using standard reports or data extracts. We can do the same for our defaults with our data extracts. We can add the information here for the data extract that we wish to use. If you are working with a quantity report, you can ask Global Trade Atlas to convert automatically to a unit of measure. So if you need to see your report showing kilograms, we can ask GTA to convert to kilograms wherever possible. And with currency, the same. You can keep it as US dollars, or you can use the drop down and you can take and ask it to convert to a specific currency.
Beth, we have a question. I don't know if you want me to ask now or do you want to wait for like a question?
Is it to do with what we're looking at now? Is it? Ask me the question, Xavier. We can figure.
Okay, so we have a question from Pablo. He wants to know, so he saw the 1995 information for Mexico and China, and he wants to know if that's the oldest available information for all countries.
The information, the data available will go back can go back as far as 1990. But it will depend on when that reporter started reporting their trade statistics with us. So if we take a look at documentation.
Okay.
And then if I do sources, I can then see monthly reporters and sources. And here, if I open this as a PDF, I will be able to see, so you can see how far back the historical data goes. So here we can see with Algeria, we have data to 2000. And if we come back here, we can see South Africa at 1996. So this will tell you, this document will tell you how far back, excuse me. And you can see here that New Zealand, we go back to 1990. So it depends on when our data goes back to 1990, but it depends on when the reporter actually started reporting statistics with us.
Okay, let me go ahead and write that down here in the chat.
Okay.
Should I just write it in the chat or just say it in here?
If you think you can say it while I'm resetting, that's fine. Go ahead and do that, Xavier.
Ok, Pablo, lo que me está informando Beth es que nuestra información va hasta 1990 y todo depende en realidad desde cuando empezaron a reportar esa data, pero en cuanto a nuestra compañía se basa es desde 1990. Y acabo de escribir también en el chat. Okay, Beth, you can go ahead and proceed.
So we're back at settings. When you have added your settings to what you wish to see, we can then just do series monthly here. We can click on apply. That is now ready for when we run our reports. So guys, let's run a report. We're going to start with running a standard report. Here we've got our report filters. We'll start by using all reporters, but if you wish to use a specific reporter, you can click in the box and you can type in your reporter name and then select. To remove anything from any of your filters, click on your cross. We can then look at our trade direction. So we have imports, exports, trade balance or total trade. We have here the partner. So here is our reporter, our unique entity. And here is partner. So selecting the partners with which the reporters have traded. We can keep it as all trade partners. We can click in the box and type in a trade partner. And add using the checkbox. Or we can click Browse Trade Partners, and we can go ahead and select our trade partners from the different regions. So we can add our trade partners in to our report. We can also create a group. So if we were using these trade partners a lot, we could create a group, and that will assist us when we are creating our reports. And we will look at creation of partner groups further into the session. Once you've added all your partners, click on apply, and we can then look at the product. I am going to remove my partners at this point, and we'll keep it with all partners.
And Beth, while you're doing that, we have another question as we're going. Paulo also has another question. He wants to know if when reporting, if you can choose the option of like world, or I'm sure he meant like global or worldwide.
So in terms of reporters, they only have 2 reporters. So you would always have to use one or the other, or just the 2. In terms of partners, you can leave it as all trade partners, and that will give you the world total. So you would basically leave that field blank, and that will give you all partners that all the reporters have traded with.
Okay, and again, for reports, you said they have to use one or the other.
They can use both their reporters, but they only have 2 reporters. They only have China and Mexico. So if I use browse reporters, you can see China there and Mexico there. So those are the only reporters that they have on their profile.
Okay. And for partners, just leave it blank, and it's global.
Yeah, so you'll see in a moment when we run the report, if I run it, when you get your results table, the top line will be world.
Okay, let me say that. Paulo, para responder tu pregunta, en cuanto a los reportes se requiere, ustedes nada más tienen 2 reportes, ya sea China o México. Entonces puedes usar o uno o el otro o los 2. En cuanto a partners, puedes simplemente dejarlo en blanco y ya eso es automáticamente significa que es mundial. Y lo voy a escribir también en el chat.
Okay.
Okay, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so that's our reporters and our partners. We're going to talk product. So with product, you need to have a product or multiple products in this field. To do that, we can click in the field and we can type our product code if we know it. So I could type 100590 and it gives me my code. I can then select. I can also use a short description. So for example, if I type coffee, it will then give me the results where the first 5 results where coffee appears in the description. Okay, and I can select. I can also browse products. So if I browse products, it puts coffee here and it tells me all of the different codes where coffee appears. So you can go find your code and it may be in one of these different categories. So if we look at this one, we have some more here, and here we have some more again. So we can look for our codes and then use our checkbox to select those specific codes. Now, an HS code, today, for this course, we are talking about up to 6 digits, and the code is used globally. So all of these codes are used by both of your reporters. So we can choose our product, and we can choose a 2-digit code, a 4-digit code, or we can go to a 6-digit code. So I'm going to go with a 4-digit. So we're going to select this code, and then I'm going to apply, and that will place my code into the product field. This line has been bought from the settings area that we created, but we can change these as we work with the tool. So we can switch from value to quantity, or any one of these different concepts. And we can also switch our report type and our frequency. If you work with quantity, you will have 2 options, a primary quantity and a secondary quantity. This is where some reporters may report their quantity volumes using 2 different units of measure. So the primary quantity, they may report in kilograms, and their secondary quantity, they may report in tons. So this is your choice to use primary or secondary quantities as reported by your reporters. Going to submit my report. And what we'll see here is we'll then see our report based on the code and details. So we can now see the Mexico. So we're looking at Mexico's exports and China's exports of this particular product code. If we want to see, for example, Mexico's exports and to which trade partners, if you click on Mexico in the reporter column and set them as a reporter.
Beth, we have a question from Fabiola, and she wants to know if the only countries that can report is China and Mexico, right? There's no other, other difference.
No, we have 102 reporters, but on their company's entitlements, they only have access to China and Mexico.
Ok, okay, ya voy a escribir la respuesta, pero Fabiola, perfecto, perfecto.
Gracias.
Ajá.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay, so here we now see Mexico's exports of this product, and we can see straight away they only export corn maize to one other country, which is the United States. What I am going to do, I'm going to just take that, whoops. see if we can get. So here, so if I take it up to a different one, we can now see for this code, Mexico are exporting to the United States, to Peru, and to Ecuador. Okay. Working with the tool, we have some, I'm just going to take it up. Switch that around. We're going to use the same code. This time, guys, we're going to look at Mexico's imports of this product. So if I now submit, you can see now Mexico are importing this product from these different trade partners. If I want to switch this around, at the moment we are seeing quantity. I can switch from quantity, very easy, to value. So I'm now seeing my value, and my value is in United States dollars. I can switch my report type to comparison, and I'm going to go with year to date. So here I can see up to December 2020, but I want to switch this. I'm going to use my calendar, and I'm going to go to June. Now I am seeing when we do year to date on a comparison report, your figures are showing you January to June for 2018, 2019 and 2020. And you can see up there, I think it was Paolo had the question, when you run with all partners, you'll see your top line as the world total. So that's the total value of Mexico's imports from around the world across that period of time. I'm going to switch us to quantity, because I would like to show you here. We have the conversion. So if you haven't selected conversion in your settings, you can switch it here. So this is all in kilograms. But if you wish to see these totals in a different unit of measure, we can convert quantities. And we could change this to tons. And it will convert for us. You can see now we're looking at tons. It's going to switch us back to value. So guys, we are looking at a report for Mexico's imports of this code. Now, when we are looking at our report, it will default the report to show us trade partners if we have Mexico up here. So if we want to see the report by product, we can use listed by, and we can switch to product. And we now see the different products that Mexico are importing from around the world listed down here. If you wish to save your query and recall, we can use the Save Query button just here. We will give our query a name. Now, when you save anything on global trade, you can always recall it from my saved in the navigation bar. But as a process, it also has to save it onto the Connect platform. And to do that, it must have a folder. So here we can use our drop down. We can save for later, which is a default folder, or you can create a specific folder. So I'm just going to create a folder called training so that I know when we finish what I can delete today. So, but for you guys, if you're just working with the global trade, you can just save for later. You will always be able to recall it from the My Saved area. When you have saved your report, you could come back next month. You come into My Saved. You can go to your saved queries and then click on the title to recall your query. When you recall your query, it will recall it at the same time frame that you saved it. So if all you need to do is move this forward. So I'm going to use my calendar and I'm going to move forward to October 2020. It will redraw my table. And then when I save again, this time I can update existing. This will overwrite my original query with the new data, or I can add to new, which will save me a new version of this report. So I will update existing, and that is saving your query. Going to take corn off. I'm going to take world off there and submit. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I have just changed our report very quickly, as you saw there. We are now looking at Mexico's imports of all products. So what we've got here is our table showing us the highest ranking. So we're seeing here that Mexico's highest level of imports comes from the United States, and the second highest level of imports come from China. And this is based on all commodities being traded. Again, we can use our listed by, so I can use my listed by, I can look at product. And it will then show me, so looking at this chart now, we can see straight away that the highest product being imported to Mexico is electrical machinery. What we can do, I'm just going to go back to our trade partner for our view. When we have our table, guys, we can now create a chart. So you have a button here which says show chart. if I select that, it will give me on my chart here my top 5 records from my table. I could choose my top 10 or my top 15. So this is giving me a bar chart based on the top 15 trade partners with Mexico for imports. We can also do it by partner, so we can group. This is grouped by year. We can group by partner. So you can see here across the years the changes. The other great thing with this chart is that we can also choose, just going to go with the top 5 here. So we can choose, using our table, the trade partners that we wish to see. So we could actually say, I want to go with, I'm going to take the US off. We'll leave those and we'll go with kind of Southeast Asia, so we can draw ourselves a table based on those trade partners that are of interest to us. Once you have your table, you can use this little icon here, and this will allow you to export to any one of these formats. If you choose Excel, I'll just show you this spreadsheet. You will get an Excel spreadsheet, which will give you your graph, and your other worksheet in your spreadsheet here will give you your data that created your chart.
Hi, Beth. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Omar wants to know how he can find or search for the oldest report in Mexico, which seems to be in 1995. He wants to know how he can search for that, how he can view that.
So searching for historical data back to 1995.
Yes, for Mexico.
Okay. Yeah. Can you explain to him that he can't do it on standard reports because you can only go back 10 years with extended data export, and only 2 years online. But when we look at data extracts, he will be able to pull the data right the way back to 1995.
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So let me close. I'm just going to hide my chart here. And so when we run a report, if I go, sorry, I'm just going to change this to an annual series. So we can see here, we go back to 2015. Okay, so we get 6 years on an annual series. But here we can change this to, I think, does it go to? So you can go back 24 years on an annual series. Yeah, so 24 time periods. You can see that goes back to 1997. That is the furthest you can go back online. But when we use data extracts, you can take it all the way back to 95.
Okay, and that's just how you do it. You just change over there where you see the years, you just put 1995?
No, you don't put 95. So what you do here, you do an annual series.
Okay.
Yeah. Then run your report. And then here, when you run an annual series, it will default and give you just 6 years up to 2020. So you can see 2015
Okay.
to 2020. But what you can do here is you can just change that and you can go back to a maximum of 24 years backwards.
I see. Okay.
So that will take you back to 97. But if he wants to go back to 95, it can be done, but it has to be done in data extracts.
Okay, let me go ahead and write the on the chat.
Okay. Okay, so we've looked, ladies and gentlemen, at preferences, running a report, working with that table by drilling, editing, saving, and charting. Now, before we take a look at groups and how we work with groups, I want to show you how you can export this data table. So we have an export table button just here. So if I export, I can take it to Excel static, which is a standalone Excel file. We can take it to comma separated or to an HTML file. So if I go with my Excel file here, I can download an extended date range. Now, if I am working on a monthly series, this helps me because it means I can go back 10 years. With an annual series, we don't want to extend because here I've already gone back 24. So if I export my table, Excel, leave this blank and export, it will take me back to that full table that I was seeing on the screen. So it's very simple to export your data out. So just to explain that again, if I am exporting and my table is on an annual series and I want 24 years, when I use my export table and static, do not tick this checkbox because it will only give you 10 years of data. However, if I am on a monthly series, if I put my 24 timeframes in, it's only giving me 2 years. But what we can do is export table, Excel static, and this time, ladies and gentlemen, we do want to check this box because then it gives us 120 time periods, so 120 months, so taking us back 10 years. This is for your monthly series. So I do that, and then we'll open up our monthly series. And you'll see now we go back to November 2010. Okay. So guys, what we are going to talk about now is something called groups. So working with trade partner groups and product groups. So as an example, if you wanted to see Mexico's exports to a block of countries, for example, the European Union, or maybe a selection of countries, you would do that by using partner groups. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is to create our partner group. So we go to the My Saved area. We then choose partner groups. And then we'll just create new. And we can choose our partners from any one of these regions. So we can go through, we're just going to go, let's go to Europe. So we'll add some of our partners from Europe. We'll give our group a name, and in this occasion, I'm going to call this Some Europe. We'll pop it into our folder, give it a description if you wish to, and then save. That is our partner group saved. We can do the same with product groups. So we could create a new group. We can go through and add groups on. I'm going to come in here. We'll add our different groups on. We can add the different codes from different chapters. We don't need to have it all from the same one. So we can add our products in. We give our group a name. We'll pop it in a folder and then save. That is our group created. So I want to show you now how we use those groups in our report. So I will go to standard reports. I'm going to reset my filters and we'll start from scratch. So again, we're going to come in our reporter. We'll add our reporter. We want to look at our trade direction, so importing or exporting. This time we're going to include a group. So guys, we are going to click in partner, browse trade partners, and then use the toggle here to partner groups. Saved groups will list any groups that you have created. And then we have the predefined groups, and these are groups that IHS Markit has created for your use. So you can choose any of these groups, and to find out which partners are incorporated in these groups, we can just click on this hierarchy or arrow, and it will show us then the partners included in that group. So we can just go ahead and add any of the groups that we want to include. And I'm going to use our saved group, and we can add multiple groups, guys. So I could come in here and I could add multiple groups to my report. I click on apply, and we'll keep it here for the moment with all products. I'll submit. So we now see the Mexico's imports of all products from these two countries, and we've got it because we have this here. It's listed by product, but what we do, we'll go to our listed by, use the drop down and ask to list by trade partner. So we then see our results. So if we're looking at the results table, we can see this is all partners. This is total value of imports of all products. This is the total value here of imports of all products from the member countries within this partner group. We then have the total value within the group that we created. And then underneath that, you will see a list of all partners that are incorporated in these groups. If you only wish to see the totals for these groups, you can hide group members. So I use the checkbox here. It will give me just the totals for the groups. We can do the same with our product groups. So we can, I'm just going to remove our partners, and I can browse products. And here again, I have a product group toggle. And here is the group that I created. I'm just going to create a quick. So I want to make sure we get some results for you on this one, guys. So okay, so we add our group, exactly the same here. So I'm going to submit. So this now gives me Mexico's imports, and we can see here total values of the products included within this group that have been imported from this trade partner. To see the individual values of the members of the group, I will use listed by. choose product, and it then breaks me out. So I have my total value for the group and then my individual values for the products within the groups. Okay. We're going to move away now from our standard reports, and we're going to look at data extracts. But before we do that, can I just ask you, and as I say, feel free to ask me directly if you wish, or to put it into a chat to Xavier, if you feel more comfortable doing that. So guys, just before we move to data extracts, if you have any questions on standard reports, this is the time to ask.
Yeah, Beth. See, I can hear an echo.
I can't. You're all right.
Okay. Asp was asking about the reports. So she wants to know. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Asp wants to know. The reports that they can obtain information from Mexico and China. And Fabiola was saying in all of them that they only have access to the two countries, Mexico and China. So can we just confirm that is correct?
Yeah. To show you here, if we look at your settings tab, we started at settings for our defaults. You have a tab up here called entitlements. So you can see here, you have monthly data and you only have it for these two reporters. Yeah, so you can get reports for China and Mexico as their official statistics. Now, if you wanted to look for exports from the United Kingdom. Okay, now, because you don't have the United Kingdom, you can do what we call a mirror report. And what that means is you're effectively doing it in reverse. So if I wanted to look at what the UK were exporting, what I could do is I could actually say, for example, to Mexico, what I would do here is I would put the United Kingdom as a partner. Okay. Because I want to look at the United Kingdom's exports, what I need to find out is what Mexico are importing from the United Kingdom. Does that make sense? Do you understand that, Xavier?
Yeah, although we also have another question that I think is tied into that. So the Fabiola wants to know, and Alma is helping me with the request or with the answer as well as I'm asking you. Fabiola wanted to know the price or the cost of, having access to the other countries. But I think Alma is already responding saying that, well, they would need to get a quote going. And that the access that the access that they currently have right now is approximately about 7,000 annually for Mexico and China. Okay, so she's answering it for me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But in terms of this here, if you wanted to look for the data, for example, from a country that you don't have as a reporter, like the United Kingdom, so they could put United Kingdom in the partner field. If they wanted to look at an estimated value of the United Kingdom exports to Mexico, you would do it reverse. So you would put United Kingdom as partner, then you would look at what Mexico are importing from the United Kingdom, which would give you a suggestion. It would give you a suggestion of what the United Kingdom is exporting to Mexico. So you're effectively doing a mirror or what we call a deduced report. So would you be able to explain that to them, Xavier?
Can you repeat that last part again? Sorry, I was
Yeah.
answering on the chat. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're doing brilliantly, by the way, just saying.
Thank you.
No, what I'm saying is if they wanted to look at statistics or an estimation of statistics of exports from the United Kingdom to Mexico, yeah,
Okay.
what they would need to do is they would need to look at the United Kingdom as a partner. If they want to look at United Kingdom exports, then they need to put imports in here. And then Mexico as a reporter. So what you're then getting is an estimation. So this is what Mexico is saying that they have imported from the United Kingdom. So it's not the UK's official statistics, but it would give them a best guess if they don't have those reporters that they want to see. So that's a way around that situation for them.
Okay, let me just, I'm typing this here and I can just type it in the chat.
Yeah, I get it. But
You get that.
it's only
Fabulous.
yeah. The
Okay.
part of the export from United Kingdom, but it didn't give us the imports of United Kingdoms, right?
Yeah, so what if you wanted to look at the imports to the United Kingdom from Mexico, what you with your current subscription, what you would need to do is to do Mexico's exports to the United Kingdom. Yeah, so what you want to find out, if you look at Mexico's exports to the United Kingdom, that would give you an estimation of what the United Kingdom have imported from Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Okay. So what we will do now, we're going to look at the data extract. So the data extract, as I mentioned in our presentation at the start, is like you're pulling raw data. So you're not going to see it online as you do here. So to create an extract, and this will go back to the gentleman's question about historical data as well. So if we go to data extracts, looks quite similar, and in fact is. So again, we can put our reporters, our trade direction, our trade partner groups or all trade partners, and our products. So all of this is exactly the same. So I'm going to again use Mexico here. We'll look at Mexico's. So with trade direction, the advantage with a data extract, guys, is that you can include imports and exports on the same spreadsheet. So if I do exports, we can pop in a trade partner, and we can pop in an individual code, multiple codes, or our product group like we saw before. Let's pop the group in. I'm going to pop the code as well. You can ask your data extract, your frequency will be by default monthly, but we can choose the frequency that we wish to use. So I'm going to go with my annual frequency again. It will run with an annual frequency. It will run you for 10 years. But you can, sorry, I beg your pardon. It will run you for 10 years up to the latest available data. but we can deselect the checkbox and use our calendars. And you'll see here, we can go back because Mexico data started in 95. We can go all the way back to 95 here. And then we can bring it all the way forward. All right, I'm not going to go back that far, guys, because we want to keep it fairly small for the purposes of demonstration. We've got our currency again from our settings. And again, if we use quantity in this section, we can also convert the quantities the same as we did in standard reports. In this section is where we are telling the system what data we want to have on our spreadsheet. So we can include, if we're using an HS code, such as this one here, 84, then we can ask to put the code and the description of the code. And we can also go down to the different levels and include the codes and descriptions at those lower levels of harmonized system. If we have a product group, we use the radio button here. We've got our product group up here. Excuse me. If we use product group level and description, we will get the literally that one line for the UNAM group. If we use the member level and description for a group, we will get the different codes of the members of the group and the total values. And if we use the detail level and description, it will take us down the lower HS codes within that group. So I'm going to keep us with a group. And we're going to go to a member level and description. In terms of your format, you have two options. You have the narrow option, and this will give you your dates in the columns in Excel. And if you use this format, it will give you will be able to include your different concepts. If you use the wide format, you will have your dates in column headings. But if you do that, you will only be able to use one of these concepts. So I'm going to use narrow. Then we're going to save, give our extract a name. Pop it into our folder. Now with an extract, you can run it as a one-off. So we just run it today and then that's done, finished. Or we can ask Global Trade to run it for us either on a weekly or monthly basis. We can choose the day of the month, and then we can choose the frequency. So if you wanted to run this every month, we've got one, but you could equally run it every quarter, every 6 months, and so on. So I'm going to choose the 28th day every 3 months. As a default, you will receive an email. If you do not wish to receive the email to tell you that your download is ready, deselect the checkbox. That will then run our extract and you'll see a pop-up which tells you that it is running, and when it is ready you will see another pop-up with a link which you can use to download your extract. If you miss that second pop-up, you can go to My Saved, and here is your extract. To download, we'll use the download button over here. If I just open this up for you. This is what your extract will look like. So we can see here we've got our reporter we know is Mexico. Here is our dates. And this is our list of trade partners, the product group, which we asked for, and then we've got our member codes and description. So you'll have all of your member codes. That's 8.4 at the top. And if I scroll a bit further down, you can start seeing we come to the 8.5s. And then as we come over here, we can see we've got our value, our quantity, our unit price, and the primary units. So this is showing or indicating our unit of measure. Okay, guys, we've taken a look around the Global Trade Atlas. We're going to finish off just by taking a look at how we can maybe make amendments or work with the My Saved area. But before we do that, does anybody have any questions for me?
Si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, la escriben aquí en el chat. I think we're good for now, Beth.
Okay. So just the final section then is to really talk about this My Saved area. So within here, we can see we can look at our queries or our groups or our extracts. We know that we can recall our query using the link. You can also amend your extract and rerun it by clicking on the link in the extract title. So if I click on my extract title, so this is the report. I've got all of my data. I have it set how I want it. Maybe I want exactly the same report, but I want to run it for China. So what I do is I just take Mexico off. I can put China on. And then everything else is the same. So
Hey,
I
have a question on the chat.
Go ahead.
So Liliana wants to know if you can just do the one product and annual.
On an extract.
Let me ask. Yes, on an extract. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely you can. Yeah, so this let's do it with this one. So we're going to use here, so we're going to use China as a reporter. We've got here the trade direction, so you could use either of your directions or you could include both. And here we've got one individual product here, so you could add individual products, multiple products, or product groups in this field, and then here you just switch your frequency to annual. And then you can just change your date range. So if you wanted annual for, let's say, going back to what we got here, back to 2015, or of course you could have, you want to look at the last year, for example, you would then use monthly, and then you would go from, for example, last year, January 2020 to December 2020. So yeah, you can use annual by switching your frequency, and you can include individual, multiple, or product groups in the product field.
Perfect. Thank you, Beth.
Okay. So yeah, so we can amend our extract like we've just done here. Everything else remains the same. Then when we click on save, we can again overwrite our existing extract, but because this we want to keep our existing, we'll add to new, and here I'm just going to put, to make it clear which one is which, give it a new name, and then reapply. That will then run your new extract based on your original. Okay. Just the final bit about this, we can do the same with groups, guys. If you need to change any of your groups, you can click in the title link. You can make your amendments. So I'm just going to add another couple in, which I forgot to add in the first place. We'll just add those and then just resave. So any amendments to items, you use the link in the title, or we can just delete. If we no longer use it, we can use more options and delete. Okay. I'm just going to turn my webcam off now, ladies and gentlemen. That was your walkthrough of the Global Trade Atlas. I hope that you have found it useful. And if you do have any questions, I'll stay on the call for the next 5 minutes. I think Xavier will probably be happy to do that as well. So if you do have any other questions, please drop them into the chat function now. If you don't, it's been my absolute pleasure to have your company this morning. I wish you a very pleasant rest of the day. Please do remember that on the home page, there is a user guide. It is in English, unfortunately, but if you have any questions outside of that, please refer them to either myself, or you can, I suspect, write to one of your lecturers, and they can reach out to me individually. And I will, of course, send out the recording. Maybe Alma, if you could stay on the call and we can discuss how that might work, that would be great. Thank you guys for your time and attention.
Ok, con esto concluimos nuestro entrenamiento de hoy. Les agradecemos de verdad todo su tiempo. Si tienen alguna pregunta, nos las pueden dejar hacer en el chat o en formato de un correo también. Y con mucho gusto les podemos seguir ayudando, ¿ok? Okay, Beth, I think we're good.
Okay, thanks guys very much for your time.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Gracias a todos. Buen día.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. You're so kind.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
You're very welcome.